Welcome to the Heidi Thorne Show. I'm your host, Heidi Thorne. And in this podcast, I share my real world self-publishing and small business experience with you. So let's get started with today's show. Now, today we're going to continue talking about the 2018 self-publishing survey, and the aspect we're going to talk about today is business ownership. In 2016, I had a pretty high proportion of business owners in the survey simply because I recruited heavily from my personal network, which has a lot of coaches and consultants and small business owners. So the last time I had about 65% of the participants who answered the business ownership question were business owners. Now in 2018, the situation was flipped. And that was likely due to the fact that I recruited for a much more diverse population of author participants. And in 2018, we had 42.86% were business owners and 57.14% were non-business owners. So we definitely had a higher proportion of non-business owners. But here's the interesting thing. When you self-publish, guess what? You're in business. So it was almost a trick question, but again, you want to identify yourself. Those who identified themselves as non-business owners are probably doing their writing, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, it's more of a side hustle. So they're not really considering themselves business owners. And they may not even be filing as business owners on their income taxes with a Schedule C or whatever business ownership tax returns they have to fill out. They're probably just doing it as miscellaneous income. So kind of a trick question there. But realize when you do self-publish, you are in business in some way, shape, or form. Now, you have to ask, well, did business ownership affect what these authors made? Now, you would think, naturally, that those who are identifying themselves as business owners would have a much better handle on profitability and other things related to offering a product, in this case a book. And here's what I found. Non-business owners, like the rest of the survey, their most popular answer for income was $1 to $99 a year. And for business owners, it was tied for the top answer for them for income. It was $1 to $99 and $100 to $499. So they're doing a little bit better, but they're not blowing the doors off in terms of making income. Now you have to question too, why would business owners want to self-publish? Now, a lot of the people that are in my network, as I mentioned, are coaches and consultants. So a lot of them want to self-publish as part of their content marketing program. This would be called the business card book. So they either use the book as a marketing tool. In other words, they have it online so that people can find it. They have it optimized in terms of SEO and all that so that people can find them and they can generate leads for their business. Now, other business owners pass out the book to their clients or their prospective clients so that those prospective or current clients know more about them and their business. Now, when I started self-publishing, I did it specifically as an adjunct to my business. I was in the promotional products industry for 17 years as a distributor, And what I noticed is that a lot of people didn't know how to buy this stuff properly, whether they were my clients or I heard stories. It was just crazy. And so what I wanted to do was clarify how people can buy it more efficiently and save their money as well as their image. So my first book was called Swag: How to Choose and Use Promotional Products to Market Your Business. And I was really targeting the small business, small nonprofit, small association type market for that book, although the principles in it apply to everyone. So, but I did that basically to build my expert status as an expert in the promotional products industry. Now, I've since left that business. However, that book is still my top seller. So I'm not going to argue with that. And you have to ask, and though I didn't ask this in the survey, and maybe it's the basis for another survey at some point in the future, uh, asking them if they could really tie the sale or use of their books to specific sales they've made. Now, even though I'm curious about that, and I talk about self-publishing and all those things, I have had a hard time figuring out the direct connection between someone who reads my book and a sale I got. It is, unless somebody says specifically, "Oh, I read your book and I like to do business with you," unless they honestly say that, or you have some sort of special tracking link that you put in there that you want them to uh, click on or go to so that they can start a conversation with you, it can be very, very difficult to figure out whether the book actually creates sales. So should you do it as a part of your content marketing program? Well, I think it doesn't hurt, and it does help build your expert status. It allows you to give potential clients something to read more about you and implant in their brains that you are an expert. So I think it does have value. I really do. But whether it's going to directly lead to sales, I just can't say for sure. And one of the things that I see happening with people who are coaches and consultants and they self-publish a book with the hopes of building their sales, they tend to get mixed up. And so once they start selling the book or offering the book for sale, they start flipping their mindset, and then they want to build the book sales, and then they forget about the sales for their business, and then they invest way too heavily in the creating the book and marketing the book, and then they forget about the sales that are actually helping them pay their mortgage. So I would say if you are a business owner and you are self-publishing as part of your content marketing platform, you certainly want to keep all of those things in check. You don't want to go so deep into the book marketing aspect of it that you lose sight of the ultimate goal, which is to create more sales. So I hope that gives you a little bit of perspective and something to think about if you are creating a book to sell, to help promote and sell your business. And if you did find it helpful, I would appreciate it if you would go over to iTunes and give the Heidi Thorne Show a nice rating and review. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to the Heidi Thorne Show so that you can get more information about self-publishing, whether it's for business or for hobby purposes. You'll get more information on that on a regular basis. So don't forget to subscribe while you're on iTunes. If you don't listen on iTunes, I am also on Stitcher and Podbean, and you can listen to it on your Alexa with the AnyPod skill. And of course, the video version is on YouTube. You just have to subscribe to my YouTube channel. My self-published books are available on Amazon.com. You just have to put in my author name, Heidi Thorne, and you should find my author page where all of my books are listed. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but in case I haven't, I have a new book out in print and ebook, and the audiobook is coming. And it's called Self-Publishing to Make Money, What You Need to Know. This is the proof copy of it. And I have done a video on this book simply because it's one that was done with Kindle Create's brand new print book preparation feature. And so you'll want to look at that video as well. It's a separate video, so you want to check that one out. But if you want to see how it turns out, at least while this feature is in beta mode, you can get the book either in ebook or print on my Heidi Thorne Amazon author page. So definitely check that out. And if you'd like to connect with me, my website is simply HeidiThorne.com. And I would so appreciate it if you would share the podcast with your friends on social media. Thank you so much for listening and for your support. I'll look forward to talking with you again in the next episode. And in the meantime, have a great day.